Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's Fateless podcast episode. And joining me from the Fateless team, we've got Dirk, and then our two special guests, we've got Sage and Brad. Thanks for joining us. Our topic today is going to be revolving around game balance and, how do you balance wanting to be a try-hard gamer, but also maintaining your personal life, your relationships, and kind of doing things in a balanced way without going too crazy hard in the paint, which I'm sure we're all guilty of at some point. But we're gonna have fun with it and kind of bounce around with that. So I'll let both of you introduce yourselves to the audience here. And Sage, I'll start with you. I think you were on like a live stream with the founders and revolving around stuff with the alpha. But yeah, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm on Unbound Stage. I'm a content creator and also an Alpha 3 winner. I won the Explorer one, which is all the challenges and such. My content's really been about kind of staying up for the lore stuff and also with recent videos Simon's been asking for ideas. Maybe he said it innate like not meaning for ideas, but I've been giving feedback with that. So monetization was a recent one I did and also the draft mode. So I plan on doing covering GODFORGE exclusively, and that's kind of what I've been doing.
Nice. Have you done content in the past, or is GODFORGE in your first foray into it?
I've done a little bit. I've explored it, but GODFORGE is my first real taking it seriously. So
Okay. And you were an Alpha 3 winner, so congrats. Did you have like a plan you were sticking to, or did you just try hard and it
yes,
worked out? Did you have any like quick pro
I
tips for people?
yeah. So I was not. I became a content creator during Wave 2. I released a Divinity video to really kind of help people like wrap their mind around that concept. And then I didn't make a content about my playing because I wasn't too confident in it, honestly. But I spent 12 hours the day before planning, and I will tell you that story once we talk about going hard because it's a great story. So I'll save that for later in the podcast.
Yeah, you're prepping for Wave 3, and you end up after a few days looking like Tom Hanks from Castaway. You're just
I slept like 2 hours a night, and I will tell you that story when we get there because it's awesome. But
yeah, gotcha.
yeah,
Awesome.
it was awesome.
Yeah, thanks. And congrats on that win. And then
Thank you.
Brad, nice to have you. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and your content.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be on. I've been a gamer my whole life. Starting with Nintendo, I'm going to age myself. NES, playing Super Mario, played the side scroller Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game for a long time. Really got into all different kinds of games. But my guilty pleasure is like sports games, Madden, college football, and stuff like that. I turn-based wise, I love like Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy X was the first game I really got into in that genre. Baldur's Gate 3 is another big one. But action RPGs are one of my biggest ones. The solo player ones like Mass Effect, I loved, and The Last of Us. Those have been, my favorite game of all time. I really love the story, and like in Mass Effect, all your actions matter. Every decision you make matters, which I think is really cool. But yeah, now it's a lot of mobile gaming. As I have kids, so did Watcher Realms, did Raid, all that kind of stuff. So now I'm excited to jump into GODFORGE. As far as content creation goes, now I've been thinking about doing content creation for a really long time, but I'm new to actually doing it. So my friends and I play D&D, and we would start recording the sessions, Dungeons and Dragons, for those that don't know. And we would start recording the sessions and put them on YouTube just for us to remember, because scheduling is the hardest part about D&D. But then, we put them out there on YouTube, no thumbnails, no edits, no nothing, just raw. And I kept thinking like I should do something with that or with gaming. And then Fateless, I was following the Discord, and then the alpha came out and I got to go be a part of the alpha. And I'm like, you know what? The community seems awesome. Let's jump in. Let's try it. I was nervous about it, but since I've joined, I mean, everyone's been super awesome, from the Fateless team to all the other content creators and all that. And before I really wanted to jump in, I said, okay, what should the channel be? So Bradbod Gaming, I wanted to make sure I had a mission statement of what, I wanted it to be and what it would look like. And I think Chosen, you had said that the demographic is like 20 to 40 years old around the majority of players in one of your podcasts. And I was like, that I fit that. So what do I need? And I thought, let's make short content that's to the point. One, so the goal is to be a barrier for entry for those newer players to the genre, like my kids and kids growing up and stuff like that. But also for the casual players or the people that have don't have a lot of time, I wanted to say, okay, here's short content that gets to the point, so you can learn about dungeons, for example, and then get back to actually playing the game and having fun because you have a limited amount of time. So spend some time, learning about it, and then go back and play. So I know we've got a gap between now and early release, so I'm doing some other content too, news updates and different things like that. I talked about the draft mode, the normalized draft mode too in some of my videos, but I'm just trying to get better so that when early release comes, I can start making more quality videos that can help people. So
Yeah.
sorry, a little long-winded, but that's
Oh
kind of
no, it's all good. It's good,
all
to,
good,
it's good to
man.
hear the backstories and all that. And you can see my signed Nebraska helmet. I also play the
Yeah.
NCAA dynasties and all that. So yeah, love it. And then Dirk, what have you been up to recently? Working on the project and all that good stuff as we ramp up for early access.
Yeah, just as you know, we're getting all the heroes in for lofty goals. Oh, over 200 of them, and we're getting there. Actually, we're almost there. So it's just been a lot of just implementing them so effects can get them looking good, and then try to make sure everything's like working in game. So that's where we're at now. Pretty excited that we're gonna have so many heroes, as we're talking a little bit before this, like playing other games that come out now in the gacha space. They're just so light on heroes. You see games launch with like 40 to 60 heroes in that ballpark, and then they'll do like 1 or 2 new heroes every 3 weeks, and it just like the rosters are just so slim that like the most fun part of a hero collector is team building, and the team building just feels like non-existent when there's there's only like one team you can ever choose from. So like like we're finally getting there. We've got so many characters to choose from. So I think even in the alpha, there was an alpha with a little over 60, which is still better than most other games launching with. There was still options. Like you didn't feel like, oh, this is the team you use for these levels, and this is when you're like, people got to experiment a lot with it. And I'm sure Sage, you did quite a bit of that with the challenges that Brad had come up with. Some of them were
Wait,
pretty tight.
Chosen, were you the one who came up with those
Way
challenges?
to throw me under the bus.
Wait.
Yeah,
No,
right.
this is great. I love the challenges. Give me more, right? Like
That was
I ate those up.
Yeah, I was probably 90% responsible for the challenges. So if any of you are mad at me about the challenges,
The
sorry, I
challenges
had
were
to.
good, but some of them were just rough because it'd be like, use a Virage hero. You're like, all right, Dracula or Voltalok. Here we go.
I mean, we can talk about that when we talk about gaming hard, because I got some stuff to say about that.
Then maybe
Yeah, but-
maybe that'll segue us here into the actual meat of the discussion. If you want to let us know how you balance that and how brutal it was to try and be like a winner in the alpha. Probably I'm assuming you said 12 hours of prep the night before, and I'm sure you were having to like auto farm all night. And what was kind of like the process there in winning the alpha?
Yeah, so the topic is like going hard and how can we do it anymore? The first step is I am married, right? I have a ring on, and I had to ask my wife, I was like, hey, listen, this game's really fun, and I did really well in alpha too. Can I go hard? Can I shed all responsibilities? Can I become unbound from my duties as a husband?
I love
And
how
she
it's like when you're a kid and you're asking your parents, can I go sleep over at such and such's house? Like, please.
Yeah, and so I got the okay, right? And that was the moment everyone lost. The moment the wife said, like, you could do whatever you want, I'm sorry, the competition was decided. But the big thing was, you talk about like hero variety. I chose my main squad to be Guan Yu and Shinigami, and I took them all the way down to 150. They were my first 2 6-stars, and the idea was 142 asked you to use Tien and Izumo units. And so I was like, well, if I have 2, like, there's only 6 to choose from. One of them is uncommon. So if I have those 2 already built, it saves you time. And so I had an entire rare strategy that was the idea of us building as few heroes as possible to climb or to descend, as well as complete all the challenges. And it turned out that one had the wrong tooltip anyway, which makes it even funnier. It was actually like Asgard in another
Now
one.
that's not my fault. Okay,
That's not
I
your
came up
fault.
with the
Yeah, no.
challenges. Direct your
But-
emails to Hellhades.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm not gonna do that to him because I still won, so I'm not salty.
I know, I'm
right?
kidding.
But yeah, my like one, it kind of brought me back to my childhood where I could like go super hard. I went harder than I did as a child. Actually, I slept like 2 to 3 hours a night for the first like 4 days just to like be on that cutting edge of it. And the hardest part was, when you got down to those challenges, is just you couldn't really go for all three, and I recognize that. From day one, like from hour one, I was in the chat saying, I'm going for the challenges. I'm not trying to be the fastest down there. I can't do it with my team. I was 24th, I think, or 29th to the bottom. And I if I do this, I cannot do Fafnir damage because I'm just building different heroes that are not going to be top Fafnir damage dealers. So just being laser focused on the challenges from hour one is what I think really won me that competition.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Yeah,
by the way, the official Fateless standpoint is we do not recommend doing any of this stuff.
Oh,
but if you
don't do it.
choose to go hard in the paint, that's your choice. But you should always play moderately. But excited that worked out for you. And Shinigami, a little bit of a sleeper. He had the defense down and he could finish off waves to farm quicker.
The biggest reason I chose him is because of these abilities, right? And the ability to actually keep people down with his curse. Because there are people that kept reviving, and curse has a 25% chance to let them stay dead. But the big thing was his ultimate gives drain, which enables Guan Yu. And that was the biggest thing for me, is I had an on-demand drain I could use on Guan Yu's turn to turn on his A1 when I needed it. So that was the tech.
Awesome.
okay,
Yeah.
The Guan Yu, I think, is turned out to be my favorite too in that. Like having the ability to kind of scale him into late game a bit with drain is like,
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of fun. The other ones are a little bit more straightforward. Like they still can kind of scale because they have enemy max HP scaling and debuffs, but none of them feel like it's fun like the combo with like Guan Yu did. So I'm glad you got mileage out of that. And with Shinigami, he was one that like Brad's calling him a sleeper, and like I always personally I love Dagonet, so he was my early like defense downer of choice. And every time I kept thinking like, man, this guy kind of like it. Like where now it's like I kept thinking like I bet Shinigami so much better, and I'm glad he worked out for you there.
It was difficult. The 140s, even they were both 6-star with decent gear. It was still difficult. It still took a lot of managing of resources, a bit of RNG as well, but it got the job done, and that's all it was needed, right? Getting the job done. So
Awesome. And then, Brad, do you have anything recently where you had to kind of, work-life balance, gamer-life balance? Any tips or things you focus on revolving around like content and gaming and all that?
Yeah, I will say that I did not go nearly as hard as Sage did for the Alpha 3. I think I did make it like 200. I think I was 203 or something like that to complete the caverns, but I could not go that hard. So congrats to you, Sage. That's awesome. But
yeah,
in general, it's yeah.
yeah.
In general,
I don't want to do it again. I don't want to do it
in-
again. Sorry, I keep
right,
interrupting
right.
you.
No, you're good. You're good. But I mean, what I think back to, especially when I was younger, was we would have like split screen Halo tournaments, right? All-nighters, and different things like that. So that was kind of our going hard, or taking turns playing StarCraft or Warcraft or whatever on the one computer we had in the house.
Hot seating
and all that. Yeah, right. But yeah, really, as far as balance goes, it's it's really been that's where mobile gaming has come in, I think, a lot. When it comes to the kids are watching Bluey or K-pop Demon Hunters, which is a great movie, by the way, if you haven't seen it. But being able to pull up my phone and play GODFORGE or whatever mobile game has definitely been a way to scratch the itch of wanting to play. But really, it's just about sacrificing sleep. Either I get up early or I stay up late to play games, and getting online with friends I think is important. So get connected either through, like, we've been playing Helldivers 2 or G3, well, 3, just to stay connected, in the evenings after the kids go to bed, after the wife and I hang out and stuff like that. That's kind of the time that I've allotted for that. Now, some of that time is taken up with figuring out how to do content creation. So, so that's kind of been my new obsession, if you will. But yeah, it's really been about like, okay, what's the priority for this time? And then can I schedule some time for myself? And typically mobile gaming has been like the cheat code in between, doing things, or when take the kids to an event or a sporting event, I can, mobile game or auto farm and you go that way. So that's kind of been my transition. Cause yeah, back, in the day, there's a lot of that. And You could play anytime, all night, whatever. You're the only one that suffers, but now I got to try and balance that as much as I can.
Yeah, for sure. And Dirk, is there any challenges with you on balancing? Like, we're in crunch time and we're trying to get to early access with all these heroes in the game, and you're kind of making sure everything looks good and polishing the cameras and all that. So, do you have any kind of work-life balance that's a struggle for you?
I think as Brad was saying, it's just sacrificing sleep. That's because for me, like yeah, obviously working on this, which it feels like a game a lot of times when you're just especially setting up heroes, trying to make them do cool stuff. But then I still want to make sure I play a little bit of Deadlock each day. I've been playing that a little over a year now, and I just got sucked into that because I've always been a big Dota and League player. And yeah, it was fun to get into a game that I just sucked at. Like it's been a while since I was like felt like a noob, and I'm like, oof, oh, I can't have this. I gotta I gotta level up my skills a bit. So if I don't, it's nice to get a little bit in each day, just get rusty because like I took like a month off and go back into it. You're instantly noobified again. So that it's tougher though, like trying to dedicate into a PC game, especially when you can't like leave or anything. Like that was like what ended MOBAs for me in general was when my kid was born. I was in the middle of a Dota match and had to leave. Never left a game in my life. And then all of a sudden, like, oh, water broke. Sorry guys, I'm out. And then just that was it. But yeah, and like you said, mobile games are kind of the cheat code because that was like you got the kid laying on your chest or whatever, and Sham's like, dude, you got to check out this game Raid. I'm like, what are you, like a commercial now? Come on now. Like I've seen enough of this in any other YouTube video I watch. He's like, no, it's way better than you think. Plus, I want to get the referral, the referral sacred shards. I'm like, all right, let me just check this out. And you're sitting there with like one hand, like, actually, this is kind of fun, and like it works out. So because of that, like I see mobile gaming in a whole new light, and it is way easier to sneak. Although it is tough to balance it because it's one of those things where like I don't like to be on my phone too much, and the next thing you know, you're just like, all right, hold on, let me just set this up real quick, and then you're like managing gear. You're like, oh fuck, my gear's full. Oh, I gotta sell my gear. Hang on, give me like an hour. And then like you get a lot of that. So you have to, it's definitely a lot of balancing, like when you have time to manage your guys, when you're auto farming. Like in the alpha, it was kind of nice not having to really worry too much about gear cleansing since it was always just getting wiped and all that. But yeah, like being able to leave it on overnight and like wake up, it was like Christmas every morning, like, oh, what do I have now? And like definitely love that feeling. And then trying to also get your kid into the game too is kind of like the next cheat code of like, oh, I'm playing with the kid. Like what we're having some father son time here. What are you so I'm looking forward to that. He's just getting to that age now.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say exactly because I showed my kids the YouTube channel. I'm like, I do YouTube videos now. Yeah, you want to learn about this game? It's gonna come out in February, March. So yeah, we can play together. So that's the next strategy.
Yeah, especially if they see you, because YouTube is like this magic realm of them where like everyone's larger than life. I thought, I think he'd be like more impressed like by because he's playing with like action figures, actually a lot of like Lego minifigures, and he's always like basically doing what I'm doing like into the game right now, like putting the character in, set up the animation or whatever, like so everything works out. I'm like, look, I'm basically playing the action figures in the game. He's like, man, don't care. I'm like, you will care. Like, but
Yep.
everybody's still young. He's 5 now. He's just learning how to read. So as soon as he gets there, though, I'm like, man, just wait, you wait, and that's gonna be the dream because that's where, like I said, you don't have to worry about the wife aggro anymore. Once the kids also like busy with it, you guys are putting in some quality time there. It's gonna be, yeah, it's gonna be a whole new step. I'm really looking forward to. That's why I've been pushing him so hard. You gotta learn to read. So he's getting there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Dirk was talking about gear cleansing. It will be a lot better in early access. We'll have some of those quality of life features that you're looking forward to.
It was just so rough. It was like, it's all getting wiped. I'm not gonna bother. Like I'm not gonna hit the cap probably, and we'll just let it turn into a mess. The alpha will end, and then I don't just let it go. But that is like the worst experience usually in games because that's like I said, anytime you're trying to squeeze a little bit of time in, and all of a sudden you like you didn't account for your gear being maxed, and you're like, oh no, I got this is at least an hour now. And like if you were planning on like going to bed and letting it run overnight, and all of a sudden you have to do a gear cleanse, now you're like, oh, I guess I'm staying up till 4 tonight. And it's I guess tonight I just don't get to sleep anymore. So yeah, it's definitely a priority to make that nice and smooth, just to save everyone's time.
Yeah, because in terms of the topic for like people's time and gaming and having a healthy balance, that's why it's so important for us to get these quality of life things right. Because if we can shave your average playtime every day down even just 15 minutes, that adds up a lot over the course of a year. Just by making it easier for you to do things like cleanse gear, for example, we can kind of respect your time a little bit more. That's why we love the feedback on how to make it just feel better to play the game and go faster. Because I know I've definitely had times in my life where I struggle with the gaming balance of like, also your personal life, like being a StarCraft player and trying to be Grandmaster and waking up in the morning and practicing until shit, it's 2 a.m. I haven't done anything for 15 hours. Like, and then it's, oh, well, I guess I can play a few more hours and the sun's coming up and it's like, okay, now I guess I better sleep a couple hours. So I've definitely made those blunders before. And it's why I've joked a few times in the podcast why I never played 1 minute of World of Warcraft. And everybody's like, what? Are you kidding me? It's because I knew if I go down that rabbit hole, it's like an alcoholic walking into a bar. Like I can't, I know I can't do it because I'll be down the rabbit hole for sure. So I've definitely I've gotten a little bit better about managing it as I go forward. So not gonna make that mistake anymore, hopefully. But you never know when GODFORGE comes out, maybe. But does
I will say I did take some time off, or I'm planning on taking some time off of work when we get a release date for early access, so that I can spend my work hours playing GODFORGE.
Yeah,
At least for a couple
want
days.
like a nice week to just dive into that
Yeah.
full state.
that's something we've seen become more popular. When these big launches happen, they'll happen on like a Thursday, and people are like, okay, I took Thursday and Friday off, so I'm
Yeah.
good for 4 or 5 days. I'm getting after it, and people will kind of plan for those big releases.
Mm-hmm.
I think you mentioned that, Brad. Like with World of Warcraft, that was like a brutal one for that. That was one where like I definitely left a job to play that one. It was like man, this is gonna take more
I knew some
time than
people. I knew some friends and stuff where, yeah, it got pretty dicey there.
you're like, well, let's see, what am I losing here? Minimum wage. All right, let's like flip some Nintendo DSs, and I'm like, all right, I just bought myself a couple months. Let's go. Can't do that anymore now. They got like familial responsibilities, but yeah,
Yeah.
man, those were the good days. That's why you must have been so happy when you were Sage, when your wife was she gave you the green light to like go ahead. Don't
Yeah,
worry
yeah,
about it.
yeah. I showed her the plan actually, and she was like, "See, I'm planned out. I'm good at these games. You know this." And she's like, "Yeah, go ahead. You give it a shot. Whatever."
Does she
Yeah,
does
you
she
were the
play?
hardest
Does
heroes
she
too.
understand?
So she does. So for my gaming background, I do a lot of challenging single player games, right? So I don't do a lot of multiplayer stuff. I did a little bit of League of Legends. I did a little bit of WoW, but my thing is like the Dark Souls realm and that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
right? And and my wife plays those kinds of games, right? So she's beaten the Dark Souls trilogy. She's beaten Elden Ring. She's beaten, so she's an impressive gamer in her own right. But this like gotcha space, she understands it. But she didn't play, no, but she was following every step of the way. Like every morning, I'd give her a progress update, show her the leaderboards. Like, yeah, I'm right here, right? Like these guys are catching up. Like I need I need to get going. Yeah, so yeah, she
Spent a
was
lot of
definitely
time
there.
just to map everything out of like what you need for each thing, because there wasn't like a great organization on that. You just had a little tooltip 150 times, and then I guess you probably making your own like spreadsheets.
Ragewood actually made a spreadsheet, and it was his
Uh,
private one that he shared during the Wave 2 in the official Discord. That's where we like hung out a lot in the voice chat there. So he shared that during Wave 2, and I used that as my base for Wave 3 to make a rare only team, right? To a rare only plan, right? I wasn't gonna bank on legendaries. I figured you guys would probably make that more rare, and I called it right. So or I guess at the point I was making the plan, it was announced that it was gonna be that. So yeah, but just just to talk about time, right? Is like for me, I still game just as hard as I used to, just less time, right? I still choose intensive games to play, and that's why I'm excited for
mm.
GODFORGE. Like those challenges were a nice feeling, a nice appetizer for my for my need for challenge. And then, especially the draft mode sounds very, very fun. If that is repeatable, as maybe alluded to, that might be something I stream a couple hours a day, because that sounds really, really fun. So
Yeah, that's the goal is, we want something that's not necessarily like forced, like it's part of the daily loop, but for people who do love the game and they kind of spend their energy and they're like, but I still want to play. I don't want to just quit for 8 hours. We want something for them to do. And it's a tough line to walk where we don't make it like mandatory because like, oh geez, if I want to stay caught up, I gotta play this 8 hours a day. But we also want to enable people to, if they want, that they're on vacation, they've got time, they want to play. So it's really hard for us to find that line and do it perfect.
It's actually been a really big reason why we're pushing, despite like, as we're getting close to the release for this, and like what's getting cut, what's not. Like the one thing that we're making sure like is not getting cut is a like normalized like roguelike PvE mode. Because that's meant to be like, once you've exhausted everything else you can do for the day, you got no more energy. You get in game and in real life, like you're just like, it's like I'd be like, we want to have at least like, but you still have that itch to play because the game hopefully is fun. Like that's top priorities. Like we want to have fun playing it too, and so like we wanted to have a mode in there that you can just no life and like play it pretty hard. So yeah, it's still definitely in production at the moment. So I'm so excited for that too, because like roguelikes have always been a very like fun genre to play, even like with friends or just by yourself. Like some of them like Risk of Rain 2, play a ton of that with buddies. It was just fun to see what kind of runs you'd get. Some of them are disasters, some of them it's feel like they never end, and like you're just like, oh my god, this is nuts.
just keep looping, Mithrix can wait, right? Like just keep looping.
Yeah. Like you live for those moments. But then even like other single player ones that you don't expect to play that much, like Binding of Isaac was like that for me, where it's like I remember seeing the game and all my friends, oh, dude, you got to play it. It's so fun. And I'm like, it looks kind of funny, but well, let's check it out. And next thing you know, I'm like, all right, hold on. Like, what haven't I seen so far? Like, oh, there's still more to get. I'm checking online for all this stuff. Like, oh man, there's a ton of this game. Like, yeah, you got to get it all. And so, yeah, there's definitely like, I mean, I don't know how much of that we're gonna be able to capture in ours. Like, I don't think it certainly won't be as extensive as Binding of Isaac, but a lot of the other people we've since picked up on the team are also very passionate about roguelikes, and everyone wants to like throw their hat in it. We're all we're grateful for that. So I'm very excited to see how this is going to end up panning out.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sage. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm a big roguelike, but I play more of the strategy roguelike, so it'd be more of like the Slay the Spire stuff, right? Which would probably be more in vine of the speed of the GODFORGE one. Like, you can put it down whenever you want to, right? Because it's all decision based. But safety with GODFORGE. If I leave GODFORGE alone for 10 minutes, it's not gonna do anything, hopefully, right? Like and so yeah, just being a big fan of Slay the Spire and Balatro, right, is a very similar one as well. Like decision making roguelikes.
Yeah, Balatro is so cool. Yeah,
Balatro is very, very fun. So I think those two are really in my wheelhouse as challenging single player games that I've put hundreds of hours into each of them. Yeah. So,
well then, to put a bow on this, kind of lastly, maybe I'll get each of your perspectives on, in terms of being cognizant of respecting the player's time. Are there any features you've seen that other games have done or not done where you're like, gosh, this game would have been so amazing if it just did this? Is there anything you would really want to forward to us to really make sure that we consider that when developing GODFORGE? And I'll go in the opposite direction this time if you want to start, Brad.
Yeah, I more in generalities, I think I like the idea of like, limited banners for heroes or something like that, but I would want it to be in a way where if you miss out on the banner, you can still get the hero at some point. So I like the idea of like, yeah, there's some time sensitive stuff, but it doesn't bar you from any content, and it doesn't bar you from any hero that you might want to get or anything that you might want to do. So for me, balancing is basically like, I want to make sure that I can play on my own time and achieve everything that everyone else can. If I can't sink 8 hours into it a day, or I can only do 45 minutes or whatever. So eventually I will get to where everyone else is, or to the content that we want to get to, or past certain content, or get certain heroes, in the time that I'm able to play it. So as long as there's nothing barring me from making progress, because of a time sensitive event or something like that, then I think that's really the best way that I would like to see balance in the game.
We're all with you on that one. That's something they
Yeah.
talked about because a lot of games have been going towards this like exclusives where like, they're available now, you got to get them, and then once they're gone, they're gone. And like those are great for like putting a fear of missing out into people to get them on. But I always look at them as like a double-edged sword because nothing also makes me quit a game faster than if I miss one. And then I feel like, well, I'll never get that again. So what's the point of ever playing this game anymore? And like personally, I wouldn't want to put a mechanic into our own game that would make me not want to play it again. If like, God forbid, I had to, go on vacation or something and just couldn't get something right. So yeah,
Right.
there won't be anything like that where it's like, there's still definitely going to be like some events that you want to be a part of, but there will be nothing that you would never be able to get again.
Miss like a shard or a book or something, right? But you're not gonna, you're not gonna miss like Ninja in Raid, for example.
Yeah,
right? Where it's
yeah,
like
that's a great example.
I started playing at Raid after Ninja came out, and I was like, okay, cool. I'm glad that everyone loves their Ninja because I don't have it and I never will, right? I think
I'm
go ahead,
surprised
Sam.
that you actually. Are you still playing Raid or?
No, I played for like an 8 to 9 month period. So it was like right after Ninja came out, and then like
It's not mandatory, but it's just one of those like anytime you see someone put a video out, like, oh, look at this, you go solo ninja or solo dragon with ninja, and it's super fast. You're like, oh, must be nice. And they're like, oh, look at this, he crushes clan boss. Like, oh yeah, cool.
Yeah.
But at least you didn't have to have him. But imagine like, it's something that was just a little bit more prevalent in teams, and you can just never get it. Like it'd be tough to want to play that game when there's so many new ones coming out like every other month.
Yeah, as a content creator, it made it hard to do like a video or a guide because you'd always have those comments where like, "Are you stupid? Not everybody has those heroes." And so, so you'd have to like talk about more like roles. Like, okay, in this spot, these are your choices to put this, and you don't want to like list and give options because you don't want to run into those situations where you use an exclusive and then half your viewers are like, "Okay, next, this is a stupid video."
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for me when it comes to time is and it sounds like you guys are doing this just from the vibe of what I've heard of the Simon videos, is making very clear what is the daily grind and very clear what is the time sink. And I think a decision that was made in the game that I think was made very poorly was in Raid, making the Doom Tower keys daily instead of weekly. Because for me, Doom Tower feels it shouldn't be part of a daily grind. It should be part of a like time sink, right? And so I understand you want to gate progress. You don't want people just like zooming through the Doom Tower first day. But like, you don't know what day people are gonna have time. So you can't just put it on the weekend. What happens if my free day is Thursday, right? And so like I think you're making very clearly defining what is the daily grind, like use all your energy, do the daily quests, do this thing, whatever. And then, making time sinks either if you want to gate them, make it weekly, right? So, people can do it at their leisure, right? If that's possible. Obviously, that's not always possible. But and then just, for the normalized draftman, where it's like, hey, yeah, you can use your resources that you've gained from your daily grind to continue playing the game. And if you don't want to do that, and you don't want to, if you can buy it for rubies or whatever, you can use rubies for something else. So
what do you think about this, Sage? Because I've seen this be the solution some games have done. Where let's say your example with the Doom Tower, you get 10 Doom Tower keys a day. But what I've seen some games do is they allow you to stack like 3 days worth before you start wasting them. So you still get it daily, but they can at least stack if you miss a day.
Yeah, that's it. 3 days, it does seem a little short, right? I think it'd be cool if you could stack up to a week, but of course there's game balance there and stuff like that. And I'm not an expert on game balance, right? But yeah, stacking up to 3 days sounds great, right? So I can like plan, okay, like Wednesday and Friday I do my Doom Tower, right? And just make it clear what is the daily grind and what is the time sink, right? And so I don't have to be doing time sinks on days I really don't have the time to do it. Because back to regular life, I don't have 22 hours a day to play GODFORGE, right? Like I did during the alpha, right? I may have an hour or so, right, on some days.
And we don't want you to play
gotta sleep,
22 hours a day. We want you to be functioning adult here.
Yeah,
sleep at the least.
Yeah, sleep at
sleep.
the least. It was miserable. I'm so glad I did it though, but it was so much fun. But like, my body afterwards. I literally, after I like was announced, I just like collapsed on my bed. I was like, I was so done.
I bet. Well then, Dirk, did you have anything that you're really pushing for us to consider? Kind of getting into the game when you're in meetings and stuff that are really important to you personally when it comes to kind of quality of life and time management and making that stuff easier.
This is something that I think is already being considered well. I mean, Paul's doing a great job at like balancing when weekly chores are due, because sometimes it gets brutal when everything's due on the same day. And like in Raid, I remember like Sunday nights, that was the night where like every week my Monday just started off so friggin' tired because it's like, well, Sunday night, all right, I got a lot of chores to do here. What am I doing? And then like that was, I rarely get to bed before 4 or whatever. Like I'm like going up to reset like at the last second trying to get stuff done. And it's like, not a great way to start a week off. So I think we got things staggered pretty well so far, like in the schedule, that you don't have to feel rushed because everything's it's a weekly, but not everything due on the same day of the week. And I think that's gonna be really nice.
Yeah, that's really good input. Well, kind of to wrap things up here, I want to ask you guys your input on some heroes here. Is there any myth or legend or anything that comes to mind that you haven't seen yet, kind of announced or leaked with GODFORGE that you're like, man, I really hope they put this in the game and it would be a super cool fit? Looks like you're ready, Sage, if you want to go.
Yeah, I'm always ready. You know me. I'm prepared. Hephaestus, the god of the forge, right? I love the men. I like the men on a mission, right? The guy he's just forged and stuff. He knows his place in the world. I like that a lot. So yeah, that's who I vouch for.
Okay, cool, good answer. And then, Brad, what about yours?
Yeah, I was thinking about what fits the aesthetic, and I mentioned Dungeons and Dragons before, and I think the way that they have it set up would be really cool, like for a whole faction or a whole realm. Because I mean, the classes, commons and uncommons, could be like rogue, paladin, sorcerer. Rares could be like gloomstalker, ranger, storm sorcerer, like more epic than that, and like epics could be like Duke Zalta, who's the fire giant leader. But then we've got legendaries like Tiamat, the god of evil dragons, and Bahamut, the god of justice dragons, the Raven Queen, different things like that. So that's like the first thing that jumped out at me was like D&D would fit perfectly in this world, and we got a whole plethora of different rarity heroes I think that could add to it, which I think would be really cool. To give you a specific one I'm not as passionate about, but it'd be cool to see myths like Bigfoot or Chupacabra or something like that would be fun to see from North
Loch
American
Ness
perspective.
Monster. Let's get them all in there.
Right,
We need more.
exactly. Yeah.
We need more weirdos, man. We need more weirdos.
Oh, they're
Right,
coming.
right.
And this, I don't think it still is. Chupacabra was on the list for a bid, but it's some of it comes down to like rigs, like what we can do now, and then what we have planned in the future. Because like we'd love to get like a bird rig in the game, which will unlock all these cool bird characters for us. Stuff like phoenixes and whatnot that are prevalent in mythology, but it's just, yeah, we don't want everyone just to be a guy standing there. We're trying to get as many like creatures as possible.
Cool.
Awesome.
Hey, yeah, well, this was a lot of fun. Thanks for showing up and chatting with us about all these different GODFORGE and time management and quality of life topics. And we're gonna link down below so you can check out Sage and Brad's channel. You're gonna be cranking out some awesome GODFORGE content. And Dirk, thanks for popping in and hanging out for a bit as well. And we'll also link things like the Discord down below. You can pop in and give your feedback and talk all stuff GODFORGE and stay in the loop. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon in the next Fateless podcast episode. Later.